Hey, and what's the crack? And welcome to my video where we're diving back into the seedy world of Mafia. And I just managed to secure the Platinum Trophy. So stick around and I will show you how I did this. And there will be spoilers throughout this game. And this time around for Mafia 2, we're not playing as Tommy, we're playing as a new character called Vito. And let's kick off with our first trophy called Viva la Resistance. Fairly sure I mispronounced that, so sorry if I did. And how you can get this trophy is by completing chapter 1, which is fighting through the war as Vito. And then we get introduced to probably the funniest character in this game, Vito's best friend, Joe. And we also get introduced to Vito's family, his mother and his sister. And speaking of a sister, this actually leads to my next trophy called Big Brother. And you get this trophy for beating up a thug, protecting your sister. It also happens to be your fighting tutorial. Back in Business was the next trophy that I managed to acquire. And how I acquired this trophy was by stealing a car and selling it to Mike for parts. Collector's item was the next trophy I got, and I won't be showing much of it because it's not exactly meant for YouTube. If you played this game, you will know what it is. And then I got another trophy straight after, and it was called Home Sweet Home, and this was for completing chapter 2. All you do in chapter 2 is ride around with Joe and learn how to shoot, something you've been doing before this part of the game. And then while on to chapter 3, we have to do back-breaking work, and I'm curious, did anyone actually put all the crates onto that truck? And with a bit of name dropping, we get on to our next trophy called He Who Pays the Barber. And I unlocked this trophy by shaking down a bunch of poor working men. Moving on to the next trophy I managed to unlock, and it was called The Professional. And I got this for robbing the ration stamps without setting off an alarm. I'm fairly sure as well that these guards are legally blind, because that man did not spot me as I snuck across his path. And the next trophy I acquired was called Mailman. And I got this for selling all the ration stamps before time ran out. And then I got another trophy, and it was called The Price of Oil. And this was for completing chapter 3, which was for robbing the ration stamps and then selling them. This man missed his calling in life. He should have been an actor. I mean, that is top tier quality acting. The next trophy I managed to conquer was called Night Shift, and I got this for completing chapter 4. And the only way you can complete chapter 4 is by doing a jewelry heist store. And of course, while robbing this store, it all goes to shit and he nearly gets caught. And while on a new chapter, I get a new trophy called A Lesson in Manners. And the way you can acquire this trophy is by defending a lady's honor and fighting some greaser. I love Vito's priorities. Food always comes before unaliving someone. It is important. And the next important things are trophies, like this one, the Enforcer. And this was a very simple trophy. It was just unaliving 50 enemies.
Drinking on a job, huh? When'd you turn Irish?
To be fair, we do work better when we're drunk. And speaking of drinking, the next trophy I got was called Good Spirits. And it wasn't for drinking, it was for completing chapter 5. And the only way you can complete chapter 5 is shooting your way out of a building, rescuing 2 friends. And then for chapter 6, an Al Capone got pulled on us and we went to prison. And they even gave us a snazzy new haircut. But while in here, we make a new friend, a powerful friend called Leo. And then I also got a trophy while in prison called Time Well Spent. And it was for completing chapter 6. And to complete chapter 6, we do a few things like learning how to fight. Well, learning to fight better. And of course, the most important thing while in prison, cleaning the toilets. Going to prison actually turned out to be one of the best things that could have happened to Vito, because when he got out, he had an apartment waiting for him. Or maybe it wasn't, because the next trophy I got was called Last Respects. And how I acquired this was by completing chapter 7. And what that entailed was burying a body that's been in someone's boot for a couple of weeks. And this was right after Vito's welcome home party. Moving on to the next trophy I earned, and it was called The Wild Ones. And of course, it was for completing chapter 8. And chapter 8 was wild, because we started it off by selling cigarettes. And then, as a surprising turn of events, Vito turns his life around. Nah, I'm only joking. He gets in a shootout with a bunch of other lads. I can't tell if the people in this game have a death wish, or do they just think they're tougher than any car that drives on the road. And then while on a new chapter, we get everyone's favorite type of mission, a tailing mission. And once we were done following, we actually had to go through a disgusting sewer. And once out of the sewer, we have to sneak around and find our friends to rescue them. I'm actually surprised they can't smell him. While rescuing his friends, I gained another trophy called Hairdresser, and it's for killing 5 enemies as quickly as you can, each with a headshot. And soon after that, I decided to get my next trophy called Sharp Suitor, and you get this for buying your first luxury suit, which was well needed because Vito stunk. And then I got the Man of Honor trophy, which was for completing chapter 9. And how you complete chapter 9 was finally getting inducted into the mob, which Vito thought was probably the best day of his life. Onto a new chapter, and we get an even bigger mission where we have to plant a bomb and explode some people. And once that was done, I earned my next trophy called Hey Joe, and I got it for cleaning up Joe's mess, which just involved crushing a car with a surprise in the boot. And then of course, like usual, I got the trophy called Checking Out, which was for completing chapter 10. And I completed chapter 10 by shooting my way out of a hotel with Joe, just after I exploded the people. Chapter 11 starts off a bit wild because we actually get burned out of our house by them dastardly Irish people. And with nowhere else to go, we decided to make our way over to Joe's. And while on the way over there, I was granted another trophy, and it was called Get Rich or Die Flying. And how to get this trophy is by taking all four wheels of your car up in the air for about 20 meters. And then I got the trophy called End of the Rainbow, which was for settling the score with the Irish people. And the only way to settle the score was to break into the Irish bar, start shooting up all the Irish gangsters, and of course keep his priorities straight by having a cup of coffee while in the middle of a gunfight. And then I went on to get this trophy called Or Good Friend, which was for completing chapter 11. And in chapter 11 we have to rescue our friend Leo from his house in his PJs before the mob gets a hold of him. I love the fact that they're going to a drug deal, two big mafia men, and then there's just Vito there. But him being dressed like that didn't stop me from getting this trophy, Chasing the Dragon, which was for completing chapter 12. And what we did in chapter 12 was deal no snow to people. The next trophy, Chop Chop, was for completing chapter 13. And to complete chapter 13, you have to get into a massive shootout with the Chinese, who give you the booger sugar. Then in chapter 14, I probably got what was the most important trophy in this game. It was called The Mafia Never Forgets. And the reason I say it's the most important trophy is because you say your final goodbyes to the first protagonist of this game series, Tommy Angelo. While trying to find a car, I never found it so hard to try and rob one before. This man was quite literally not giving up without a fight. Still on chapter 14, I was granted another trophy called Out for Justice. And how I unlocked this trophy was by getting into a massive shootout and showing them how tough I really am. The next trophy that I managed to obtain was called Proper Scrapper, and you get this for selling 5 vehicles to Mike at the scrapyard. The next trophy that I received was called Men at Work, and it's for completing none other than chapter 14. And in chapter 14, you get into a massive shootout while rescuing your friend Joe. What are you looking at, Leo? I'm right here. What are you looking at? I then unlocked 3 trophies by the end of the game, and they were called Tough Nut, Made Man, and last was Finish Him. And I got all 3 of these trophies for completing the game and completing it on the hardest difficulty. The next trophy I came by was called A Real Gentleman, and it was for fixing this lady's engine at the start of the game. How funny would it be if you couldn't fix it? The next trophy up was called Wake Up Call, and you get this trophy for escaping Leo's house with him without being caught. On the way up to Leo's house, I discovered a weird glitch where the ground would disappear and I couldn't get through the door. Have no idea why it happened, but I found it hilarious. The next trophy I acquired was probably the most annoying, and it was called Card Sharp. And why I say it's annoying is because you have to go around and collect 189 wanted posters. I wonder, are these real pictures of gangsters or was it just random people? And now for a less annoying trophy called Petrol Head, and you get this for driving 30 different vehicles in the game. You can find a good few vehicles that you need in your garage. The next trophy that I managed to pick up was called Ladies Man, and you get this for picking up all the Playboy magazines throughout the game. And I don't think I've hit a button quicker in my life to show something that can't be shown on YouTube. The next few trophies I'm going to go on about are about cars, starting with this first one, and it was called Pedal to the Metal. And you get this trophy for traveling very fast in the car and praying to Christ you don't end up dying. And the next one, and probably the most boring one, was called Cruise Control. And I say it's the most boring because you have to keep your vehicle above 30 for more than 5 minutes. And the next trophy I got was called One Careful Owner. I don't know why it was called this because it has nothing to do with careful driving. What it has to do with is driving a car for 50 miles. This next trophy was similar to one of the previous ones, and it's called Exporter, and it's for selling 5 expensive vehicles to Derek at the docks. The last of the 2 car trophies were got here, and they were called Tuned Ride, and this was for getting your first upgrade to a car. And then for the second trophy that I managed to acquire, it was called Dream Handling, and it's for fully upgrading your car. I go full on brawler for this next trophy, Knucklehead, and you get this trophy for killing 30 enemies with melee attacks. Onto the next trophy I got, and it was called Stuck Up. And the way you can acquire this trophy is by robbing 5 shops in under 5 minutes. And if you're going for this trophy, a piece of advice: don't fight the old man, he will win. And then another time, after successfully robbing the old man, I got locked in to the shop by my own car. The next trophy I got was called Hard to Kill, and to obtain this trophy you have to survive 10 minutes of cops coming after you at the top wanted level. And I wouldn't recommend using one of these cars because if the back door's open you will die, and quick. What I do recommend is going back to chapter 4 and just waiting down the alley with a cop behind the car. I then acquired the platinum trophy after fending off the cops for 10 minutes, and the rating I give this game is a 3 out of 10. I found nothing difficult in this, even playing at the hardest difficulty. And with that done, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. Stay safe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.